Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்த முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்த முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்த முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students. So take your social science book and come to page number 80. So today we will discuss about Islam and the rise of Islamic Empire. So Islam, one of the major religion of the world, which was followed especially in West Asia. So how the Islam religion originated? So who was the founder of Islam religion and how it spread? So Islam, it spread through conquest only. So Islam religion spread to various countries. So it originated in Arabia and spread to other countries through the method of conquest. So the Islam people, so the Arabian people, so first, so they began to follow the religion and they spread the religion through the battles. So through the war, they captured many countries, and in that countries they established, so they spread the religion. So how it was spread? So who was the founder of Islam religion? So when it was founded? So we will discuss about this, and finally about it led to the clash between the Christians and Muslims. Yes, in the medieval century, so there was a clash between Muslims and Christians, so to be dominant in world. But there is no result in their war. So there is no achievement in their war. But it led to it have some serious effect in world society. So it had some serious effect in world society, especially in West Asia and also in especially in Europe. Okay, so we will discuss about that also. So Islam and the rise of Islamic empires. So recall what we discussed in our previous class. So in our previous class we discussed about what is the Middle Age. So the historians call the period between the end of the Roman Empire 476 AD to 1453. So this is the capture of Constantinople by the Ottoman Turks in the year 1453 is called as the Middle Age. So in the Middle Age only, so the Arab civilization began to emerge. So the Arab civilization period is between 630 AD to 1300 AD. Then we discussed about the Seljuk Turks and the Ottoman Turks. So Seljuk Turks, so they were from Central Asia. They established a powerful empire in Persia. So while the Ottoman Turks, so they moved towards the Asia Minor and established an independent empire in that region. Then we discussed about the East Asia in the Middle Ages. So first China. So China was ruled by various dynasties. So first it was Tang dynasty. So during that period only, so the Great Wall of China was extended. So already Great Wall of China was built during the Qin dynasty itself. But in Tang dynasty, so the Great Wall of China was extended. So its length was 6,700 kilometers. Then we discussed about the Sung dynasty and Yuan dynasty, and finally about Ming Empire. So Yuan dynasty means it was the dynasty established by the Mongols. So Kublai Khan, who was appointed as the governor of China. So Kublai Khan was appointed as the governor of China by the Mongol emperor Mangu Khan. Okay, then we discussed about the Ming Empire. Then we came to Japan. So Japan, so their original name was called as Yamato. Then we discussed about the ruling families of Japan. So first the Shoga family, then it was followed by Fujiwara family. So during Fujiwara family, so Kyoto was the capital city. So from 794 onwards, so Kyoto remained the capital city of Japan by the Fujiwara family. Then after that, so it was a capital city nearly for 1000 years. Then later Tokyo, so the present day capital, was established. Then during the period of Fujiwara, a new class of large landholders emerged, and they were called as daimyos. Okay, then so there was fight between the two chief families, so Tara Minamoto. Among them, so Yoritomo emerged successful. Then he established his military capital at Kamakura. So therefore, the first shogunate. So shogunate means so title of a military dictator. So Yoritomo established his military capital at Kamakura. So therefore, it was called as Kamakura shogunate. Then Kamakura shogunate was followed by Ashikaga Shogunate. So Ashikaga Shogunate lasted for 235 years. But during this period, so there was a conflict and civil war. And so three men. So who were the three men who rescued Japan from the prolonged civil war? Porbunaga, Hideyoshi, then Tokugawa Ieyasu. So they liberated the country from civil war. So by the end of 16th century, the whole of Japan was again united. So we have discussed about China and Japan in our previous class. So what happened in China and Japan in medieval ages. So now we will come to Islam. So one of the major religion which was founded in the Middle Ages only. So already there was Christianity, so which became the state religion of the Roman Empire. So in the later period of Roman Empire, the Christianity became the state religion. So during that time, so the time of 6th century, 7th century, so there was a religion which originated in Arabia. So that is Persia of the time. So Persia, Asia Minor. So that posed a great challenge to the rising Christianity. Okay, so how it was founded? So who founded the Islam religion? So what was the principles? So we will discuss now. Prophet Muhammad. So in Tamil they called him as Muhammad Nabi. So Prophet Muhammad established Islam. So Prophet means, so in Christianity and in Muslim, a person sent by God to teach the people and give them message from God. So Prophet means a person sent by God to teach the people and give them messages from God. So Prophet Muhammad. So Muhammad was a prophet. So Muhammad was sent by God. So sent by Allah. So the God of Muslims was Allah. So according to Muslims, so Muhammad was sent by Allah to establish Islam. So to teach people. So to teach people and to give the message from God. So Islam gave a message of brotherhood. So Islam gave importance to brotherhood. So they gave importance to brothers. So Muhammad laid stress on the equality of all those who were Muslims. So according to Muhammad, so all Muslims are equal. So Muhammad laid stress, so gave importance to equality of all those who are Muslims. So this message of equality and brotherhood had great appeal not only for the Arabs who were divided into warring tribes, but also for the people in other parts of the world. So Muhammad laid stress on the equality of all those who were Muslims. So this message of equality and brotherhood had great appeal not only for the Arabs. So during the times, so the Arabs were divided into a number of warring tribes and they were often quarrel with each other. So Arabs were divided into number of warring tribes. So they were divided into a number of tribes who were in war with each other. Okay, so the message of Muhammad, so which laid stress on equality and brotherhood, had a great appeal so on the warring tribes. Not only among the warring tribes, but also for the other people in other parts of the world. So Prophet Muhammad established Islam. Islam gave a message of brotherhood. So Prophet Muhammad laid stress on the equality of all those who were Muslims. But however, faced with persecution. So persecution means to treat somebody in a cruel and unfair way. So however, faced with persecution in his place of birth, Muhammad and his followers moved to the city of Yathrib. So however, so faced with persecution in his place of birth. So since Muhammad laid stress on equality and brotherhood, he faced some challenges from some tribal people. So he faced some challenges from the people of his own country. So faced with persecution in his place of birth, Muhammad and his followers moved to the city of Yathrib. So the flight of Muhammad from Mecca in 622 AD is called Hijrah in Arabic. So Muhammad birthplace was Mecca. So since he faced persecution in his place of birth, he and his followers moved to the city of Yathrib. So the flight of Muhammad from Mecca in 622 AD is called as Hijrah in Arabic. So the flight of, so the escape of Muhammad. So the moving of Muhammad from Mecca in 622 AD is called Hijrah in Arabic. In honor of his coming, the people of Yathrib renamed the city to Madinat un Nabi. So in order to praise the coming of Muhammad, so the people of Yathrib renamed the city as Madinat Nabi. That means the city of the Prophet. So later it was known as Medina. So Mecca and Medina. So the two holy cities of Muslims. So Muhammad died 10 years after the Hijrat, that is in the year 632 AD. So by the time of his death, united under a common faith, the Arabs became a powerful force. So by the time of his death in the year 632, the Arabs became a powerful force under a common faith. So Prophet Muhammad, who established Islam, gave a message of brotherhood and the message of equality. So it had a great appeal not only for the Arabs who were divided into warring tribes, but also for the people in other parts of the world. So but faced with persecution in his place of birth, Muhammad and his followers moved to the city of Yathrib. So the flight of Muhammad from Mecca in 622 AD is called as Hijra in Arabic. In honor of his coming, the people of Yathrib renamed the city to Madinat Nabi, the city of the Prophet. It is now known as Medina. So Muhammad died 10 years after the Hijrat, that is in the year 632 AD. So Hijrat means, so in order to honor the flight of Muhammad from Mecca to Medina, it was named as Hijra. So by the time of his death, united under a common faith, the Arabs became a more powerful force. Then Arabian. So Abu Bakr and Umar. So Abu Bakr and Umar, who succeeded Prophet Muhammad as Caliph or Caliph. That means both religious and temporal leader. So Caliph or Caliph means, so religious leader of Muslims was called as Caliph. So Abu Bakr and Umar, who succeeded Prophet Muhammad as Caliph, laid the foundation for an Islamic empire. Abu Bakr and Umar laid the foundation for an Islamic empire. So they succeeded Prophet Muhammad. So they were the Caliph. That means they were the religious leaders of Muslim. In a short period of time, the Arabs defeated both the Eastern Roman Empire and the Sassanid king of Persia. So in a short period of time, so the Arabs, so they defeated both the Eastern Roman Empire and the Sassanid king of Persia. Jerusalem, so the holy city of Jews and Christians, was won by the Arabs, and the whole of Spain and Persia came under the new Arab Empire. So Jerusalem, the holy city of Jews and Christians. So Jerusalem, so it was the holy city for Christians and also for the Jews. It was won by the Arabs, and the whole of Spain. So Spain, where it was in the west of Europe. So at the west of Europe, so there was a country called as Spain. So the whole of Spain and Persia came under the new Arab Empire. Islam advocated simplicity and equality. So simplicity means, so quality of being simple or natural. So Islam advocated simplicity and equality. So according to Islam, so all are equal only. So it adopted a simple way of life. So these two ideas impressed people fed up with the old order of oppression and exploitation. So the ideas of Islam, that is simplicity and equality, so impressed people, so attracted people, so who were suffering with the old order of oppression and exploitation. So already, so the people say in Arab countries and in northern part of Africa and in Persia. So Arab country means it includes Persia. So they were worst affected. So they were felt sad with the old method of oppression and exploitation. So exploitation means, so getting work without giving proper pay. So that is called as exploitation. So people were worst affected by the old order of oppression and exploitation. So they were impressed by the Islamic ideas of simplicity and equality. So the Arab easily overran many regions. So overran means, so to spread over an area quickly. So the Arabs, so they spread over many regions quickly. So Egyptians who had suffered much under the Roman Empire, and so they opted for Arabs. So Egyptians, so Egypt, which was a country in northern part of Africa. So it was in northeast of Africa. So the Roman Empire established the control over there. So the Egyptians had suffered suffered a lot under the Roman Empire. So they moved towards Islam. So they moved towards Islamic religion. So Islam advocated simplicity and equality. So these two ideas impressed people, so fed up with the old order of oppression and exploitation. So the Arab easily overran many regions. So Egyptians had suffered much under the Roman, and so they opted for Arabs. So led by the General Tariq. So the Arab after conquering Morocco and Africa. So Morocco, which was a country in northwest of Africa. So Egypt in northeast of Africa. Morocco, it was in northwest of Africa. Yeah, so led by the General Tariq, the Arabs after conquering Morocco and Africa, they crossed into Europe and took Spain. So if you see in the map, so above Morocco, it was Spain, Europe continent, Spain. Yeah, so both are closely located. Yeah, so just the Mediterranean Sea passed through it. So just there is a Mediterranean Sea. Yeah, but if you see their land position, they are so close. Yeah, so General Tariq, after conquering Morocco and Africa, he crossed into Europe and took Spain, which they ruled for many hundreds of years. Yeah, so they controlled Spain, so nearly for many hundreds of years. Yeah, so the Arabs, until then largely nomads from the deserts, became the rulers of a mighty empire. So before Prophet Muhammad, so the Arabs, so they were just nomads. So nomads means a member of a community that moves with its animals from place to place. So nomad means a member of a community that move with its animals from place to place. Initially the Arabs were like nomads, so just they move from place to place with their animals. But after the establishment of Islam culture, so they became the rulers of mighty empire. Okay, so you can see in this map. So the Islam empire is established after Prophet Muhammad. So they were called Saracens, that is from Sara, and Nasin, that is the dwellers of the desert. So Sara, so they were called as Saracens. So they introduced a culture called as Saracenic culture. So their civilization was called as Saracenic civilization. So Sara means, Sara and Nasin means, so the dwellers of the desert. So dwellers means a person or an animal that lives in a particular place that is mentioned. That is, so they were a person who were living in desert. That is the persons from the desert. So they were called as Saracens. So Saracens means the persons from the desert. Okay, so in Islam, so there were two sects. So already we have discussed in Buddhism and Jainism now. So the two sects. So like that in Muslim also, in Islam also there were two sects. So it was called as Sunni and Shia. So the quarrel for the leadership of Arabia led to a division in Islam. So the quarrel for the leadership of Arabia led to division in Islam. So the two sects formed out of the division were the Sunnis and Shias. So the Sunni Muslims maintained that the head of the Islamic State and the successor to the Prophet should be elected by the representatives of the whole body of believers. According to Sunni Muslims, so the head of the Islamic State and the successor of the Prophet should be elected by the representatives of the whole body of the believers. But according to the Shia sect, so they opposed elevation to any highest political and religious office other than those related to the Prophet by blood or marriage. So according to the Sunni Muslims, so the head of the Islamic State should be elected by the representatives of the whole body of believers. But according to Shia Muslims, so it should be related with the blood of the Prophet. So that is, so the blood relations of Prophet should be elected as the leader. So the Islam was divided into two sects. According to Sunni, so the leader was elected from the representatives, elected by the representatives. But according to the Shia Muslims, so the leader should be coming from the blood relations of the Prophet Muhammad. So it led to conflict between Sunni and Shia sect of Muslims. Rule of Umayyad or Umayyad dynasty. Yes, the rule of Umayyad or Umayyad dynasty. The Caliph. So who were Caliph? The religious leader of Muslims. So the Caliph belonging to a branch of Muhammad family. So the Caliph who were belonging to a branch of Muhammad, so Prophet Muhammad family, so known as Umayyad or Umayyad, ruled for about 100 years. So the Caliph belonging to a branch of Muhammad family, known as Umayyad or Umayyad, ruled for about 100 years. So Damascus was their capital. They developed a new style of architecture known as Saracenic architecture. So already we know, so the so the Arabs called themselves as Saracens. So they developed a new style of architecture known as Saracenic architecture. So the arches, the pillars and the minarets. So minarets means, in a mosque you can see a tall thin tower. So which is a part of mosque. So minaret means nothing but a tall, thin tower, usually forming a part of mosque from which the Muslims were called to prayer. So minaret. So it was a tall, thin tower in a mosque, which was in which or from which the Muslims were called for prayer. So the arches, the pillars, the minarets, and the domes came to India later and blended with the Indian ideas. Okay. So the Caliph, belonging to a branch of Muhammad family known as Umayyad, ruled for about 100 years. Damascus was their capital, and they developed a new style of architecture known as Saracenic architecture, so which came to India later and blended with Indian ideas. So the Muslim Arabs carried their religion, carried Islam far and wide. So from Arabia, they carried their religion in eastern part, so up to India, and in the western part they carried even up to Spain, so up to the western end of Europe. But while they were fighting at a distant land, the Arabs at home were quarreling. So since the Muslim Arabs were establishing their empire, establishing their religion at a distant land, in their homeland the Arabs were at quarreling. Ali, so who was son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, and his son Hussein were murdered. So Ali, who was son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, and his son Hussein. So Ali and his son Hussein were murdered. So who was Ali? So he was son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, and Hussein, so son of Ali. So both were murdered. Umayyad were overthrown by Abbasid. So Umayyad were overthrown by new dynasty, so new family called as Abbasid. So this branch descended from Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abbas, and hence his followers were called as Abbasid. So Umayyad, so they were belonging to a branch of Muhammad family. Abbasids, so they also the descendant of Prophet Muhammad uncle. So Prophet Muhammad had an uncle called as Abbas. So the descendant of Abbas were called as Abbasids. So they overthrown Umayyad and captured the Arab Empire. Rule of Abbasid. So Abbasid rule began in 750 AD. So Abbasid rule began in 750 AD, assuming the title the Commander of the Faithful. So Abbasid rule began in the year 750 AD, assuming the title of the Commander of the Faithful. So Abbasid Caliph wielded authority as any other emperor. So Abbasid Caliph enjoyed. So wield means to have and use power, authority, etc. So Abbasid Caliph, so used his authority as any other emperor. So the Abbasids tried to rival the old empires in splendor. So the Abbasids tried to rival the old empires. So rival means so to be as good and impressive. So the Abbasids so tried to be the good empire. So to be tried to be the good old empire. So in splendor. So the Abbasids wanted to establish a good and an impressive empire. So the capital was shifted from Damascus to Baghdad in Iraq. So they shifted the capital city from Damascus to Baghdad in Iraq. So Damascus, the capital city of Umayyad. Then later it was shifted to Baghdad by the Abbasid. So Baghdad. So have you heard about the city Baghdad? So the famous city, so a city known as the City of Arabian Nights. So Baghdad, a city known as the City of Arabian Nights, was a vast city of palaces and public offices and schools and colleges and great shops and parks and gardens. So Baghdad, which was known as the City of Arabian Nights, which was a vast city of palaces and public offices and schools and colleges and great shops and parks and gardens. So the merchant carried on a vast trade with the east and west, and visitors came to Baghdad from all over the world, especially learned men and students and artists. So the visitors came from all part of the world to Baghdad, so especially the learned men and students and also artists. So this thing was said by Jawaharlal Nehru in his book Glimpses of World History. So Baghdad was known as the City of Arabian Nights. So Arabs scholarly pursuit. So pursuit means something that you give energy and time. So Arabs scholarly pursuit. So Arabs not only gave importance to conquering the other part of the world, but they gave importance to scholars also. So Abbasid caliphs did not attempt to conquer new land. So Umayyad, so they gave importance to conquering new land. But Abbasid, so they did not attempt to conquer new land. Instead, they tried to consolidate the empire. So Abbasid tried to consolidate. So consolidate means to make the position of power or success stronger. So to make the position of the power more stronger, so that it is more likely to continue. So the Abbasid Caliph so tried to consolidate the empire. So they were more interested in scholarly pursuit. So they were more interested in scholars. So the Arabs had a scientific spirit of inquiry. So the Arabs, so they had a interest. So they had a scientific spirit of inquiry. So scientific spirit of inquiry means asking questions and believing things in a scientific way. So they believe the things after having the scientific proof. In some subjects like medicine and mathematics, they learned much more from India. In some subjects like medicine and mathematics, they learn so much more from India. So many students from Arabia went to Takshila so to learn medical education. So by that, the Takshila was a popular medical university. So Takshila, so now it is in the part of Pakistan. So Takshila, so which lies near to Kashmir. So there was a famous university. So during the rule of Abbasid, so there was a famous university, so which was famous for medical. So many students from Arabia went to Takshila to learn medical education. Indian scholars and mathematicians came in large number to Baghdad. So Indian scholars and the mathematicians so came to Baghdad in large numbers. So Sanskrit books on medicine and other subjects were translated into Arabic. So Sanskrit book on medicine and other subjects were translated into Arabic. In medicine and surgery, Arab physicians and surgeons. So surgeon means so those who practice surgery. So surgery, so making operations, surgery. So in medicine and surgery, Arab physicians and surgeons earned a great reputation. So reputation, the opinion that people have about what somebody is like based on what has happened in the past. So the surgeons earned a great name, so great opinion. So Abbasid Caliph did not attempt to conquer new land. Instead, they tried to consolidate the empire. Instead, they tried to make the empire more powerful. So they were more interested in scholarly pursuits. The Arabs had a scientific spirit of inquiry. In some subjects like medicine and mathematics, they learned much more from India. So many students from Arabia went to Takshila, so the famous medical university of that time. Indian scholars and mathematicians came in large number to Baghdad. So Sanskrit books on medicine and other subjects were translated into Arabic. So in the field of medicine and surgery, Arab physicians and surgeons earned a good opinion, so great reputation. So next, disintegration of Arab Empire and the rise of Seljuk Turks. So we discussed about the rise of Islamic Empire. So Prophet Muhammad established the Islam. So by the time of his death in the year 632 AD, so Arabs so became a powerful force under a common faith. So they established their empire from west of Asia to the eastern part of Europe. So that is up to Spain. So they captured the whole of North Africa and even they captured Spain. Okay, so then so the Muslims were divided into two sects, so Sunni and Shia. Then we discussed about the role of Umayyad dynasty, then followed by Abbasid dynasty. So Abbasid dynasty, they gave importance to the scholarly pursuit. So now the disintegration of Arab Empire. So disintegration means to become much less strong or united and gradually destroyed. So to become less strong and gradually destroyed. So disintegration of Arab Empire. So how the Arab Empire was disintegrated and the rise of Seljuk Turks. So the Abbasid Empire was at the height of its glory during the reign of Harun al-Rashid. So the Abbasid Empire was at its height of glory during the period of Harun al-Rashid. Soon after his death, the Arab Empire started disintegrating. Independent kingdoms arose everywhere. So soon after the death of Harun al-Rashid, so the Arab Empire started disintegrating and independent kingdoms emerged everywhere. So the Caliph, so who was the religious leader, became more and more powerless to control those kingdoms. So the Caliph so became more and more powerless. So he became powerless to control the kingdoms in the far land. The Turks, so who was known as Seljuk Turks, so they had become Muslims, succeeded in taking the possessions of Baghdad. So the Turks, so who was known as Seljuk Turks, so who had become Muslims, so they succeeded in taking the control of Baghdad. So they also defeated the Byzantine army of Constantinople and posed a challenge to the European state. So the Turks, so they took the control of Baghdad. So they had become Muslims and they took control over the Baghdad city, and they also defeated the Byzantine army of Constantinople, and it posed a challenge to the European state. So Constantinople, it was the linking city between the Arab state and Europeans. So the Turks, after capturing Constantinople, so they posed a great challenge to the European state. The Christian pilgrims to the holy city of Jerusalem were put to a lot of hardship by the Turks. So after capturing Jerusalem, so they impose a lot of restriction to the Christian pilgrims. So pilgrim means, so those who went on religious traveling. So those who went on religious voyage. So religious traveling is called as pilgrim. So the Christians, so they often came to their holy city of Jerusalem. So that city was captured by the Seljuk Turks. So after capturing the holy city of Jerusalem, so they put a lot of hardship. So they put a lot of restriction to the Christian pilgrims. So this resultant, so led to the Crusades. So Crusades means, so the war between the Islam and Christianity. So in order to capture the holy city of Jerusalem. So the Abbasid Empire, so after the death of Harun al-Rashid, so began to disintegrate. So independent kingdoms arose everywhere. The Caliph became powerless to control those kingdoms. So the Seljuk Turks, who had become Muslims, succeeded in taking possession of the Baghdad. They also defeated the Byzantine army of Constantinople and posed a great challenge to the European state. So the Christian pilgrims to the holy city of Jerusalem were put to a lot of hardship. So put to a lot of restrictions by the Turks. So the resultant conflict led to the Crusades. So Crusades and the fall of Seljuk Turks. So the Crusades. So the Pope and the Church called upon all the Christian people of Europe to march to the rescue of the holy city, Jerusalem. So the Pope and the Church, so called upon the people of Europe, so all the Christian people of Europe, to march to the rescue. So rescue means to save something from dangerous. So in order to save their city, holy city Jerusalem, so the Pope, the religious leader of the Christians, so under the Church, called upon the Christian people to recover their holy city. So the Crusaders had to fight against the Seljuk Turks who controlled those parts. So Jerusalem was under the control of Seljuk Turks. So the Crusaders, so they had to fight against the Seljuk Turks. The struggle between the Christianity and Islam began in 1095 and continued for nearly 200 years and is called the Crusades. The struggle between the Christianity and Islam. So in order to rescue the holy city Jerusalem, so which was begun in the year 1095, continued for nearly 200 years. So and is called the Crusades. So the Crusades, so that is the war between the Christians and the Muslims in order to capture the holy city Jerusalem, did not achieve the desired end. So did not achieve the end which they want. So there is no victory for Muslims and for Christians. So Muslims mean Seljuk Turks. So there is no success for Seljuk Turks and Christians. So both were fighting, so nearly for 200 years. So in order to recover the city. So but the Jerusalem continued to remain in Ottoman hands for another 700 years. So Jerusalem continued to remain in Ottoman hands for 700 years. This continuous fighting associated with the Crusades weakened the Seljuk Turks. So the continuous fight, so between the Seljuk Turks and the Christians, weakened the Seljuk Turks. So and also the Mongols. So they invaded from eastern side. So the Mongols invaded the Seljuk Turks from eastern side. So already the Seljuk Turks were in fight with the European Christians in the western side. And at the same time, so the Mongols, they invaded from the eastern side, which caused the fall of, so which caused the weakening of the Seljuk Turks. So the Mongol invasion from the east sidelined this cause, and Christians and Muslims, so alike started shifting their attention towards the advancing Mongols led by Genghis Khan. Yeah, so now the Christians and the Muslims, yeah, so now they turned their attention towards the Mongols. So because at the time, so Mongol was led by the great leader, so the great commander Genghis Khan. Yeah, so Genghis Khan, he captured almost the central part of Asia. So from China and Mongolia, he captured and threatened many countries. Yeah, now he was moving towards Western countries, that is, he is moving towards European countries. Yeah. So in order to face him, the Christians and Muslims so shift their attention towards him. Yeah. So the destruction of Baghdad in 1258 AD by the Mongols so put an end to what remained of the Abbasid Empire. So already Abbasid Empire was defeated by the Seljuk Turks. Yeah. So the remaining, so the what was existed in the Abbasid Empire was destructed by the Mongols in the year 1258 AD when they captured the city of Baghdad. So who were Mongols? So the Mongols were nomads. So nomads means, yeah, so those who move with animals. Yeah, so a member of a community, so who move with animals. So Mongols were herdsmen. Yeah, so they rear animals. So they rear animals and they move from place to place. Yeah, so in search of pastures for their animals. Yeah, the Mongols were expert in warfare and produced a remarkable chief Genghis Khan. Yeah, so the Mongols were expert in warfare. So they were very skilled in war. Yeah, and they produced a remarkable chief Genghis Khan. So Genghis Khan, one of the very famous emperor of the medieval ages. He was a great military genius. So Mongols hold over Russia for about 300 years. So Mongols, they controlled Russia nearly for 300 years. Just to take the map and check the location of a country called as Mongolia. It is a small country which lies between Russia and China. But the people of Mongolia, so during that time was a great persons who were expert in warfare. So the Mongols hold over Russia for about 300 years, made Russia technologically backward from the rest of Europe until the end of Middle Ages. So Mongols and Genghis Khan. So the impact of Crusades. So Crusades ended the feudal relation. So feudal means type of land relation. So feudalism. So we will discuss at the end of this lesson. So feudalism concept. So Crusades ended the feudal relations. Many of the nobles who went to east to take part in the crusades either stayed too long a period and did not return. So many of the nobles, so many of the Christian nobles, so those who have land in their country, so land in European country, so went to east so to take part in crusades, so they never returned or they stayed long period in Arab countries itself. So the serf took advantage of their absence. So the serf means so those who was the slaves of the nobles. So the serfs took advantage of their absence to break away from their bondage to the soil. So the serf, so who were considered as the slaves of the nobles. So they were working in the land of the nobles. So they took the advantage of the absence of the nobles and they break away from their bondage to the soil. So increasing demands of the products of the East led to expansion of trade. So increasing demand for the products of the East. So there was a demand for the products of the East in Western countries. So East means the countries in Central Asia and from India, and from Indian continent, subcontinent of India. So it led to a increasing demand for products from these countries. Okay, Venice, Genoa and Pisa emerged as an important commercial center in the Mediterranean region. So Venice, Genoa and Pisa emerged as an important commercial center. So because there was an increasing demand for products of the East, so which result in the expansion of trade. So Venice, Genoa and Pisa emerged as an important commercial center in the Mediterranean region. So Constantinople ceased to be the middleman in the trade between the East and the West. So Constantinople, so the city which connect the Europe with Asia. So it ceased to be the middleman. So ceased means stopped. So to be stopped to exist, to be the middleman in trade between the East and the West. The elimination of the powerful noble had its influence in strengthening the monarchy in France and in England. So in England and France, the elimination of the nobles, because the nobles now went to Jerusalem for crusades. Since there is the absence of the powerful nobles, it helped to strengthen the monarchy in France and England. Then one notable outcome of crusades was the loss of prestige suffered by Pope and papacy. So papacy, so related with the church office. So then one notable, so important outcome of the crusades was the loss of the prestige suffered by Pope and papacy. So during that time, so the Pope and the church, so they controlled the states of Europe countries. So now they lost their prestige. So because they didn't achieve anything in the crusades. Okay students, so we have discussed about Islam in today's class. So the founder of Islam was Prophet Muhammad. So he laid stress on the equality and brotherhood among the people who were Muslims. So after him, the Muslims established a strong empire in Arabia. So first the Umayyad dynasty, then Abbasid dynasty. So Abbasid dynasty began to fall because of the invasion of the Seljuk Turks. But the Christians, so they wanted to capture their holy city, Jerusalem. So they involved in war with the Seljuk Turks, which led to the fall of Seljuk Turks. And at the same time, so when there was a war between the Christians and the Islams, the Mongols, they invaded in the western part of the Seljuk Turks, so Seljuk Turk Empire, so led by Genghis Khan. So the Christians and Muslims now started shifting their attention towards advancing Mongols, Genghis Khan. So finally, the city of Baghdad was captured by the Mongols in the year 1258 AD, which put an end to the remaining of the Abbasid Empire. Then finally we discussed about the impact of crusades. So it put an end to the feudal relations. Then it led to the expansion of trade. So it led to the expansion of trade. New commercial centers emerged in the Mediterranean region, and finally it helps to strengthen the monarchy in England and France. And another important notable outcome was the loss of prestige suffered by Pope and papacy. So we discussed from Islam, so the rise of Islamic empire to the end of the crusades. So if you have any doubt in this topic, so please contact me. So take your book, students. So take page number 80. So textbook reading. So read the heading Islam and the rise of Islamic empire, then Arabian. Then homework. So take page number 86. Fifth roll matter, science question. So the impact of crusades. So page number 82 and 83. So impact of crusades. So first point, crusades ended the feudal relations. Then in that page itself, the last point, Venice, Genoa and Pisa emerged as the important commercial centers in the Mediterranean region. Then third point, the third line, the elimination of powerful nobles had its influence in strengthening the monarchy in France and England. One notable outcome of crusades was the loss of prestige suffered by Pope and papacy. So this is the answer for sand question. So write it in your homework note and read it well. So thank you students. So have a nice day.